Hey, what's going on, Archons? Welcome to the Boulevard Blake YouTube channel. This week I decided to do something a little bit different. As we got the other week, the two-player How to Play book preview with a clickable link where we could view in a PDF format the way that that document looks for new players purchasing the two-player kit. I have to say I absolutely loved it. I thought it was a very clear and concise way of getting people into the game. And my favorite part about it was actually the end, which provided this great little blurb on each of the houses. And one of those houses was the Geistoid house, which has not yet been released. It's in fact going to be part of the Grim Reminder set coming out next. So after Winds of Exchange officially drops, this was what people will be getting to see, hopefully in the fall, if we're sticking to the regular schedule that we have seen in the past, if not next year. But I'm hoping it will be a prior to Christmas release, is fingers crossed moment here. I hope you've been reading this Geistoid thing here, but one thing that really stood out for me in the Geistoid write-up was the way that it's talked about. So the scourge of the Geistoids has spread throughout the Crucible, seeking to make the world in their own image. Each Geistoid minion is a fusion of discarded refuse, animated by psychic energy of Ember and driven to wreak vengeance on a neglectful universe. Every scrap of detritus cast aside by the living is a potential new minion to swell their ranks. So I just wanted to read that blurb for a specific reason, which we'll come to soon. But I have to say, I love the Geistoid look. Like, just seeing the art here, like you can see the background image has these metal looking scrap with teeth and mouth and glowing ember eyes, we'll call it. And then you see the actual main character here in the front with the hood, the glowing eyes, kind of looking like a Jawa or the He-Man wizard guy. I can't remember his name right now, but yeah, that's what I'm getting off of this, seeing full of ember. And it's really interesting. Like, you see this sort of plasma arm, and then you see mechanical appendages as well, providing quite a unique thing. But the reason why I read that first thing is because there were words there that I think are quite important. One was discarded, the other is scrap, and new minion to swell their ranks. So with all that there, that made me think, okay, this is interesting. And then I went on and read the Master Rulebook, which was another clickable link in what was released by Ghost Galaxy. And that led to some kind of more interesting things as well. So let's look at what it said. First off, scrap. So if we're going back to this, what does this say? Every scrap of detritus. So here we are, scrap. After a card with a scrap ability is discarded from a player's hand, the active player resolves the card's scrap ability. Scrap abilities can resolve in the discard pile. If multiple cards with scrap ability are discarded simultaneously, they are resolved one at a time in order of the active player's choosing. If an ability discards a card from a zone other than a player's hand, any scrap abilities on the card do not resolve. So that is showing a little bit of insight into the scrap, which is going to be with Gorman. I keep saying Gormengeist. I don't know why. I know it's a book. But yeah, that's for this here. It's the Geistoid. And with that comes the fun thing that we are going to get to probably use our hands in a way where we get rid of cards that we don't want and get to repurpose them in a more interesting way. So I'm pretty stoked about that. Next I saw was Treachery, something we hadn't seen before. So maybe that's coming in. Maybe it's something that we're not even going to see yet. But when a card with Treachery keyword, it enters play under the control of your opponent. Control and ownership enters play. So yeah, so that's interesting as well. When a card has the Treachery, it enters under the control of your opponent. So I'm wondering if that's going to come in this Gormengeist, as well as another keyword that they have that is actually utilized as they say they want to wreak havoc. Let's pull that document up again just to see what it says. seek vengeance on a neglectful universe. So I'm wondering if that's the vengeance. And then lastly, the piece of information was versatile. The card is a versatile keyword. It can be used if it belonged to the active house. I'm curious where this is going to come in. I don't think this will be exclusive to the Geistoid, but I think that it's going to be really interesting thing that will exist in the game moving forward. Maybe it's part of the new set that we're going to see in the future. So I like that. And lastly for this, the Grim Reaper, a robot specter. Just looking at the design and everything of the Grim Reaper, the anomaly from Worlds Collide, are we going to see this card exist and come in during the Geistoid? Because it seems to have all the vibes that would go with that, including making a way to put cards in your discard pile, making the Haunted. So that's kind of interesting, and I think that this is when we will see Grim Reaper. I think Grim Reaper will be a part of the future of Geistoid. It has all the colors. Like, look at that. It's pretty similar. So I think we will see this come into play in the near future, and I'm really excited for that. So are you excited to see Geistoids come? Like, I like the flavor of like this spectral ghost sort of house coming, and I think it's going to be really fun to play. I love the fact that there's a scrap where you discard and create a token, or not a token, create I don't know what it's going to be. Like, we don't know the full effect of scrap. I just know that it's going to be something that utilizes you discarding cards from your hand. So that's quite exciting. So we'll have to see how all that plays out, but I gotta say, this Geistoid house looks really interesting. Just looking at the art and the flavor here, it has a really fun and KeyForge feeling to it without ever having seen any of the cards, just getting this little bit of tidbit here in this how to play and master rulebook. So I hope you've enjoyed my speculation. I'd love to hear your thoughts. What do you think of Geistoid? Do you think these things are going to come into play and act the way I've associated here, or am I way off the mark and reading way too much into this blurb here? So please let me know in the comments below, and as always folks, may your ember never be stolen and your keys forged promptly. Have a good one.